So in this video, I want to show you guys 6 investing principles from the Bible that made me millions of dollars. If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Gabriel, and I came from a lower middle class family that have been struggling financially ever since I was young. Because of that, I became very ambitious in my late teens and had a taste of making money the worldly and unsustainable way. I did make quite a bit of money, but eventually crashing because it was unsustainable in my early 20s. That was when I became a Christian and started to trust God and have God teach me how to run a business and invest the right way. And today I run multiple 7-figure lifestyle business that allows me to work from home, and that's important because I lost both my parents when I was in my early 20s, and family became an important value to me. So I rather have a business that allows me to spend time with my kids than to build a multi-billion-dollar business losing time with my family. And then God taught me how to invest those money that allow me to have multiple streams of income right now, and in a way I am financially free. And that's the reason why I'm doing this video, in order to share the things I've learned throughout my entire journey, so that you will be able to build a business and invest in a way that will glorify God and to fulfill the call and the purpose that He has for you. So before I go into the 6th principle, I just want to share a quick story about how my investing journey. So I've never been a good investor. Ever since I was young, I started dabbling a bit in trading. I was 14 years old when I first touched oil trading, because I went to some seminar that, it's a very get-rich-quick seminar that promised that you can make a lot of money trading oil. And back then I had borrowed money from my mother, and I burned a lot of money. I think I burned like $14,000, which is money that we didn't have because we came from a lower class family, but my mother believed in me. And so I lost money. And I think that was the period of time that I started telling myself that I'm not a good investor, and I kind of ran away from investing. So from then, I've always been doing business and never really touched investing. That was until I met a friend of mine who's actually a client turned friend, and she's actually a very good investor, and the way she invests is really different, and she convinced me otherwise. She's a good steward of God's money, and she's able to generate millions of dollars and put those millions of dollars into good use. And so that kind of got me to think differently about investing and started to explore and dive into investing again. But this time around, instead of going to courses, going to different seminars, which didn't work for me, I decided to ask God directly and pray for wisdom on how do I invest my money. Because I started making some money from my business, but how do I turn it into sort of like a passive income and invest them? So it took a couple of years, but that was when God started to show me His way of investing from the book of Ecclesiastes 11. And today I'm going to go uncover 6 principles that I've learned from there that have allowed me to do very well for my investment, and all glory to God. First of all, I just want to say that investing is always the long term. It is not meant for you to get rich quick. If you always have this get rich quick mindset where you just invest in something and you hope that it can turn you rich overnight, or within a period of a few months or even a year, because a year nowadays is considered a short term. And if you have that kind of mindset, you are going to suffer. So Proverbs 28 verse 20 says that a faithful man will abound with blessing, but he who hastens to be rich will not go unpunished. Okay, so the Bible is very, very clear that when we try to get rich quick, when we try to get rich hastily, okay, we will always suffer for it. Okay, so it's important to look at all these investment principles from a long-term perspective. All right, so without further ado, here are 6 investing principles that have made me millions of dollars, and we're gonna move into Ecclesiastes 1 verse 1. We're gonna read the verse, and then after that we'll talk about the investing principles that I learned from that. So Ecclesiastes 1 says that, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days." Now, Ecclesiastes is written by King Solomon. So this is an ancient time in the kingdom of Israel, where bread back in the day basically represents resources. Okay, resources doesn't just mean your money. It can mean your time and your effort, your assets, and then of course money as well. And then waters then represents trade routes, right? Because back then kingdoms trade by seas. So the waters here represents opportunity. Okay, and opportunity here doesn't have to just be a stock market, right? It could be in the form of a business. It can be in the form of the stock, a crypto, a different asset. It can even be in the form of relationship. So that's something that I think people forget, that as you're investing, you're not just investing in businesses. A lot of times you're investing in people, giving to certain people, building relationship with people, buying someone a meal. It's all examples of opportunities. So that's why it's important to understand that you invest whatever resources you have right from the start. Okay, you gotta start investing, but you don't need a lot of money to invest. Like for example, if you only have a small amount of capital, then you might want to just only invest in your own skill set first, or invest in meeting people, and invest in books first, and not just like always investments in terms of stock market or crypto market. So for example, when I first started out, I don't have a lot of money. I realized that, if I want to make a good amount of passive income from the stock market, I at least need like 6 figures or even 7 figures. If I have 7 figures, then if I make 10% from the market a year, that will be at least a very decent $100,000 a year in passive income, right? But if I only have $10,000 and I make 10%, that's like $1,000 passive income a year. That's $100 a month. What can I really do with that? So at different seasons of your life, you have to be able to invest in different opportunities. So for example, when I first started out, I invest in my skill set to be able to make more income. So I invested in books. I read a lot of stuff about sales, about marketing, about human psychology so that I can sell. And then later on, I monetize my skill set, okay, by offering this service to business owners, which is why I eventually have an agency, and even created some of my own software and products myself. It's easier for you to build an income first and then use the income to invest in passive income, right? So it's more like starting out with active income first and then moving on into passive income. Now that's my personal story. And the other thing was that at an early stage, I used a lot of my money to build relationship, because a lot of times when you get hold of an opportunity, you need to be hanging around with people who know what's going on. So I invested a lot of money meeting people, buying meals for people, and sometimes even buying calls. Like there are some masterminds that I paid for so that I can network with the person who started the mastermind. Not really so that I can get anything out of the mastermind, but just so that I'm supporting them. There are times I paid 5 figures for a mastermind because this mastermind was started out by someone who sold his company for $30 million. So when I paid like 5 figures for the mastermind, I wasn't really expecting a lot of things from the program. But what I was expecting is I just want to support him and make friends with him. And through the meetings and through the relationship that we have built, that was when I get to know a lot more entrepreneurs, people that would support my business, relationship that pays off after many years. That's why in the verse it says that for you will find after many days. A lot of these investments are long term. So you're not investing for short term. You're not investing and hopefully for something will come back in 1 week. In fact, a lot of times you don't even know how it's going to come back. Like, treating someone a meal, building a relationship with someone. You never know when will you benefit even from those relationships, right? But when you really need someone to help you, right? Like sometimes when my business was not doing so well, I need advice from someone, or I need to raise capital from someone. If I haven't been building these relationships, then it's not possible for me to raise funds because I don't have the relationship with these people in the first place. So investing doesn't always have to just be stock market and assets. It can also be in relationships, in opportunities, in friendship, and many of these will pay off after many days. You don't know when it's going to come back, okay? But somehow, if you trust the process, the returns will come eventually. The next principle is Ecclesiastes 11:2. It says, "Give a serving to 7 and also to 8, for you do not know what evil will be on the earth." Okay, so again, this is actually the age-old saying of, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? It's basically to diversify. Now again, the diversification here doesn't have to be, again, just an asset class, right? So yes, true, in the financial world, it can be in the asset class in terms of you can invest a portion to stock, a portion to crypto, a portion to properties, a portion to commodities, for example, or bonds or whatever. The reason is because there is market cycles for every single asset class, right? Sometimes stock market do well, sometimes it doesn't do well. But when stock market doesn't do well, the commodities market will do well, or the property market will do well. It's all in cycles, okay? So you want to diversify because for you do not know what evil will be on the earth. If we take on what we have learned from the first principle, this investment could be relationship and network and friends. Like you don't just invest in one friendship, right? Because not every friendship pays off, right? Some people don't appreciate, or some people will take advantage of you, right? That doesn't mean everybody will take advantage of you. So have 7 or 8 portions, right, of friends and network and insiders, your inner circle that you invest in. So other than just asset class and investments, it could also be relationship, right? Diversify to a serving to 7 or even to 8, for you do not know what evil will be on earth. Okay, so investment principle number 3, Ecclesiastes 11:3. If the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. And if a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where the tree falls, there it shall lie. Okay, so this one is a bit long, and actually took me a long time to really understand what this verse really means. Okay, but basically what it means is that don't invest in short-term movement in the market. So one of the biggest mistakes I see, in fact, even for myself when I first investing, right? When I first started investing, I wasn't really investing, I was trading. I talk about my story when I was 14 years old, trading oil, right? And what I was doing is I was just trying to capture short-term movement, right? Is it going to go up tomorrow? Is it going to go down tomorrow? And this is how a lot of people invest. They're not really investing because investing is long-term. I don't care about the short-term pricing, but I know that in 5 years, what's going to happen? 10 years, what's going to happen? So the short-term pricing tomorrow, the short-term pricing next week doesn't affect the vision for the next 5 to 10 years, right? So it's really looking things way longer term, not worrying so much about the short-term movement, right? So that's why if you look at this, it says that if a tree falls to the south or to the north, that's almost like what people are doing, right? They're trying to bet, is the stock going to go up? Is it going to go down, right? Oh, it has went up too much. Is it going to correct itself? And then, they're just trying to time the market, where's the top and where's the bottom, right? That's why is the tree going to fall north or south, okay? But what we want is not to bet whether the tree is going to fall north or south, but rather in the place where the tree falls, there it shall lie. We want to bet on something. We want to invest in something that is almost like a sure thing. Because if a tree falls, what can we do with the tree? When the tree falls, it lies there. What can you do with it? It represents opportunity because you can use the tree and you can build furniture from it. You can build table from it. You can build chairs from it. You can build papers from it. So then the question is, where's the market moving, right? Is there a growing demand for papers? Is there a growing demand for chairs? So you want to invest in those things. You want to invest in those opportunities that's going to happen. So here's an example in the world that we're living in today. So the reason why my portfolio made quite a bit of money was because for many years, I believed that AI was going to have an exponential growth in the last couple of years. I don't know when, but I know it's going to happen, right? Because sometimes it's not easy to predict the exact time it's going to happen. But I know for sure, if you ask me this question, in 10 years, will we have robots taking over a majority of jobs? Will we have humanoid robots replacing hair salons, replacing nail parlors, replacing chef in a restaurant? My answer is almost an absolute yes. Like, I cannot see why that's not going to happen, right? Because humanoid robot is going to be 5 times cheaper than all labor, and therefore, and because a humanoid robot is built to be like a human being with human hands, 2 hands, human height, and the world is built for human being, and therefore, humanoid robot is going to replace human. Now, the question is when. There's this saying that there are decades where nothing happened, and there are weeks where decade happens. The first Terminator movie, right, which is a movie about AI and humanoid robot taking over the world, was 41 years ago, right? But 41 years ago, nothing happened. But we can see that sometimes you can sense there's a season coming, right? We all know that AI is going to be the future. So that's the part that I know for sure. That's where the tree falls, it lies. So why I invested in a lot of AI companies, even before it became cool, even before ChatGPT, was released, was because I believe in the future. I believe that is going to be the vision of the future. I just do not know exactly when, right? That's why I do research in my company. For example, I invested a lot of money in Tesla because I believe Tesla is going to be the next forefront of the AI revolution, right? Now, whatever we are seeing right now is mostly generative AI, such as ChatGPT, the ability for people to generate text content for you or generate images for you. But we are moving into agentic AI, where AI will be running autonomously, which is why there's the ability for AI to start driving car by itself. That's called full self-driving. And then eventually moving into humanoid robot. And Tesla is one of the companies that is heavily investing in this with their Optimus robot. So I know this is going to happen. Now, yes, I do not know exactly when, maybe next year, maybe 2 years ago, 2 years later, 3 years later, 5 years later, but for sure I know in the next 5 to 10 years it's going to happen, and that's what I want to invest in. I don't want to invest in the short-term movement of ups and downs. And if the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. So, when I first invested in Tesla, it doesn't pay off right away, right? It doesn't rain. I invested, it doesn't rain the next week, it doesn't rain the next month. In fact, there was even a period of time that the portfolio dropped 40%. And I had to ask myself, is it a wrong investment? Should I continue to buy more and dollar cost average, or should I sell right now? Of course, I had to do my research whether the company is at risk, right? Do they have debt? Are they producing cash flow? Because if they're not producing cash flow and they have debt, then there's a chance that it can go bankrupt, right? So all these are things that will be part of the principles I'll share later on. I had to do my research, right? What I did was I did my research, I have the conviction, and even as Tesla fell 40%, 50% at times, I continue to invest dollar cost average, because I know that eventually when the clouds are full of rain, it will empty themselves upon the earth, right? It may not be full of rain right now, but I know that it's going to be filled with rain eventually, and it's going to rain. Okay, so I'm not looking at short term, I'm not looking for it to rain tomorrow. So investing is like that. It's waiting for the cloud. You know for sure the cloud is building up and it's going to rain. You bet on, or you invest on the certainty that it's going to rain, not when it's going to rain. And same thing for the tree. You don't bet where it's going to fall, south or north, but you bet where, okay, it's going to lie. Okay, that means things that are for sure, almost for sure, is going to happen. So ask yourself questions like, which industry is going to be the opportunity? Which industry will take over in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? Invest in the whole entire industry. Don't need to just invest in one company or two companies, right, where there's high risk, but invest in the entire industry. Do you believe that the world will go into self-driving? Do you believe that the world will move into solar and EVs? Do you believe the world will move into humanoid robot? And if you believe that, then you want to invest in that industry that's expanding, that's going to happen. All right, investing principle number 4, Ecclesiastes 11:4 says, "He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the cloud will not reap." So this is also another amateur investing mistake that I myself have made, and I've seen many people make it. They first start to invest, they are amateur. So when you're amateur, you actually don't know what to invest. And you might hear something from someone, right? You might hear, like for example, Tesla or Palantir. Now that's the big stock right now, right? Or Nvidia from someone. You're amateur, you don't even know how to invest, how to find the right stock to invest, right? So normally you're gonna hear from someone. Unfortunately, when you hear from someone, usually that's the period of time where the market is bound for correction. Usually it's already overhyped. Doesn't mean the company will collapse. It just means that it could correct 20%, 30%, right, before it starts to go on another run, because sometimes a stock or an asset is overbought. And then I always hear people say that, oh, if I know that it's going to correct 20, 30% or even 40%, I'm just going to wait for it to correct 30, 40% before I buy. This verse says that he who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the cloud will not reap. People who are waiting for the right time will never invest. And the funny thing is that if you heard about a stock and you're waiting for the price to drop, the funny thing is that, first of all, if you didn't invest, your heart is not even in the stock. It means you didn't do your research, you don't have a conviction. Even when the stock goes down, you will not know about it. And even if you know about it, because you have no conviction, you didn't do your homework during this period, okay, because you didn't invest, you were not invested, your skin is not in the game. You are unlikely going to invest when the stock goes down 30, 40%. So I see this all the time, right? I've seen people who says that, you know what, I wish I've invested Bitcoin when Bitcoin was X number of dollars. And then when Bitcoin finally fall, they say, I'm not touching that, right? It's going to collapse, it's going to fall. And they're always, again, playing short-term price movement. They didn't put skin in the game to invest, to read about the company, to have conviction to even buy in the first place. Okay, so this is what I believe. I believe that when you hear about something, of course, don't just buy because someone tells you about it. But usually, as an amateur investor, you're going to hear from someone, a stock, and then what you want to do is go and do your research. But I would always recommend to just invest a bit of money. This a bit of money, prepare to lose it. Take it as like a lesson. Like for me, I invested in Tesla when I first heard about it. The next week, it dropped like 50%. But it was a gift, right? Because it dropped 50%, and now I have to ask myself this question: should I sell it now or should I continue to hold it? And in order to make that decision, I don't want to make it out of like an emotional reason or because the stock went down, that's why I sell. Again, going back to short-term movement, I want to know what am I really buying. And now because I've invested, Jesus said that where your treasure is, there your heart will be. People always have a misconception that where my heart is, there the treasure will be. That means where I put my heart, that's where the money will come. No, that's not what Jesus said. Jesus said that where your treasure is, there your heart will be. Wherever you want your heart to go to, you put some money there first. When you put your money there, your heart will follow. So I put some money in Tesla, I lost 50%. It wasn't a life-changing money, but because I put some money already, I decided to read and invest into it. This was about at least 6 to 7 years ago. I started to really dive into the business model of Tesla, why Tesla is going to be the future, and then eventually I came up with a conclusion that Tesla might be a $10 trillion company in the near future, right? Again, this is my conclusion. Do not buy a stock based on my conclusion. You have to go and do your own investment research. You have to go and do your own due diligence, and you will never do that unless you invest a little bit of money and even prepare to lose it. Don't wait for the right time to invest, right? He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the cloud will not reap. There's this famous saying in the market, time in the market is more important than trying to time the market. People who time the market usually doesn't invest, or they usually don't even reap, meaning that they don't actually get a return from their investment by trying to time the market. Okay, so Ecclesiastes 11:5, as you do not know what is the way of the wind, or how the bones grow in the womb of her who is with child, so you do not know the works of God who makes everything. Okay, so now, very, very complicated, but in short, it just simply means that no one truly knows what exactly is going on in the market, and no one can predict the top and the bottom of the market over a long period of time. Some people could get lucky, right? They could get lucky, they say that this is the top, this is the bottom, and then it happens so that they just got lucky and predicted that. Because even a broken clock can be right twice a day. But no one has, over a long period of time, predicted the market top and the market bottom. If you look at legendary investors who have been investing in the market for 40 years, 50 years, people like Warren Buffett doesn't try to catch short-term movement. He doesn't try to catch top or bottom. In fact, Warren Buffett uses the principles that I've just mentioned. He invests in companies he knows is going to survive the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, and he just simply keep dollar cost averaging into the company. He doesn't care whether the top is in or the bottom is in. He doesn't try to do that short-term movement. No one, and even Warren Buffett himself say that he doesn't exactly know when the market is at the top and when the market is at the bottom. So anybody who tries to convince you they know exactly where's the top and the bottom, they are kidding themselves. And it's actually arrogant and pride that makes you think that if Warren Buffett cannot do it, you can actually predict the top and the bottom. This is again the reason why people don't invest, because they think that they want to time the market exactly the right timing before they invest in it, okay, and the top before they sell. People like that will never reap. They will never get a return, and has also been proven that people who are putting time in the market, invested in the market over a long period of time, always make way more money than people who are trying to, spot the right timing to invest. So no one truly knows where the market is going. So you gotta accept uncertainty and just simply trust the process. Do your research, form a conviction around an asset, an industry that you truly believe in, right? That you believe the tree will fall and it will lie there. Have a conviction and just hold on to it. Okay, hold on to it. When the cloud is full, it will rain. And never try to predict where the market is going to be. And lastly, principle number 6, Ecclesiastes 6 says that in the morning sow your seed, and in the evening do not withhold your hand, for you do not know which will prosper, neither this or that, whether both alike will be good. So now this speaks a lot to me, because I recall when I first started investing, especially like Tesla, because Tesla is like a company that goes up and down. I invested in crypto as well. Asset class like that is very volatile, right? One day you can see 100% gain, 200% gain. Whenever you have that huge amount of gains, right? Whenever I have the huge amount of gains, I recall seeing my crypto portfolio increase I think there was this period of time that it just increased 200-300% in a few weeks. I started thinking to myself, wow, like that I don't have to work. If this is so good, I don't have to work. And I started getting lazy in my work, because I'm like, hey, you know what? My investment is making so much money, it doesn't make sense for me to work. And then soon enough, the market crashed, and it has its correction as usual. Every market goes through a cycle. And I saw my portfolio, some of it go down 80%, and then I have to start working again. When I start working again, I have to reset my my momentum, right? Because I've seen this happens to many of my friends. They have a business, a steady business that they're working on. It could be an agency, it could be an e-commerce company, whatever. And because of quick money, right? They started making money in some crypto, and then they just kind of abandon their business and they just go all in and go ape shit in crypto. And then eventually what happens is that when crypto crashed, now they want to start their business again, they have to start from scratch, because they have started idling their hands. And when they left, right, they leave their field, their competitors started taking over their market share. So when they come back, it's not the same anymore. And of course, if you come back to your business, after you've been away for 6 months or 1 year, because you are off chasing something else, even your team may not even be motivated to be working for you anymore. Majority of the team might have left, your talents has left. And so you have to kind of restart the entire process of building the company again. That was also my personal experience. I've been through something like this before, and that's why I say that this is actually a very common thing. So what this means is that in the morning, sow your seeds, and evening, do not withhold your hand. Keep yourself busy, right? The principle is keep yourself busy and be consistent. For you do not know which will prosper, neither this or that, right? So to a certain extent, I know this will be the future, but there's so many things that I cannot control. I cannot control what Elon Musk is going to say tomorrow on X, on Twitter. He likes to say things that will cause the stock price to crash. I cannot control any of this stuff, right? Even though I know that the industry as a whole will move, humanoid robot will take over the world, but there are things that is out of my control. And so I don't want to put all my hopes in just that one company. Okay, because this company is going to retire me, I'm going to idle around and not do anything, right? I'm not going to work. That's not the right mindset you need to have, right? So the right mindset is to keep yourself busy, be consistent, right? You have a business, continue working on business, be faithful with your business, be consistent in the business while you invest. For you do not know which will actually prosper, or both will actually prosper at the same time. Then it's actually even a better thing where your investment is paying off and your business is growing at the same time. And I find myself to be in this situation today where, every time when my investors started doing well and I just want to be lazy with my business, I use this verse to keep me grounded. In the morning, I sow my seed, I continue to sow, I continue to invest. But in the evening, I do not withhold my hand. I still continue to work on my business and continue to grow it, for I do not know which will really prosper. So this can also be stated as creating multiple streams of income, multiple source of income. Continue to create multiple source of income. Never get complacent. Oh, because I have this good source of income that's coming in, I don't have to work anymore. Again, you do not know what evil will befall on this earth. Keep your hands busy, continue working, don't waste your time, don't waste your resources. Whatever resources that you have, continue to invest in them, and whatever time that you have, continue to build and continue to keep your hands busy. So that's the 6 investment principles from the Bible that has made me millions of dollars, and I hope that you'll be able to apply that into your own investment journey. Now, if you want to see more content like this that will help you in your entrepreneurial and your investing journey that is based and rooted in Bible truth, then go ahead and click subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.